Some phone calls carry a sense of urgency, others hold the weight of something far more unsettling. But on that night, the voice on the line was nearly impossible to understand. Shaken, breathless, and desperate. A call for help, a race against time, and an apartment that held more than just unanswered questions. In a quiet neighborhood where familiarity brought comfort and routine, the night unfolded in a way no one could have predicted. A home once filled with laughter and whispered promises now stood in the center of an unfolding mystery. At the heart of it all, Mark and Lisa, a couple who seemed destined for forever, a love that appeared unshakable, a bond built on trust, or so it was believed. He thought he knew everything about the woman he had vowed to stand beside. She believed honesty would set her free. But what should have brought them closer instead set the stage for something no one saw coming. What led to that night? What was uncovered? And why did it end the way it did? Tonight we retrace the steps of a story that left more questions than answers. Because sometimes the truth is not as simple as it seems. Mark and Lisa's story began like many others, a chance meeting that blossomed into a deep connection. Mark, a man of strong faith and traditional values, found in Lisa a partner who brought joy and warmth into his life. Lisa, known for her vibrant spirit and kindness, quickly became the light of Mark's world. Their love story seemed perfect, culminating in a beautiful wedding that friends and family described as a union blessed by fate. But beneath the surface of their happiness, Lisa carried a personal truth she had yet to share with Mark. She often wondered when the right moment would come, fearing the potential change it could bring to their relationship. Lisa was happy, but she knew there was something she had to tell Mark. She just didn't know how he would react. Lisa knew the time had come to share her truth with Mark. The weight of her secret had become too heavy to bear. She invited Mark to sit down, her heart pounding in her chest. Taking a deep breath, Lisa began to speak, her voice trembling. She explained that before they met, she had undergone a significant journey to become the woman she is today. Lisa revealed that she is transgender, sharing her story with vulnerability and honesty. Mark sat in stunned silence, his mind racing. The foundation of his reality seemed to shift beneath him. Lisa reached out, her hand trembling, seeking reassurance. But Mark pulled away, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. He struggled to reconcile the woman he loved with this new information. Questions flooded his mind, each one more overwhelming than the last. She had hoped for understanding, for acceptance. But in this moment, uncertainty hung thick in the air. After Lisa's revelation, Mark's demeanor began to change. Once outgoing and cheerful, he now spent long hours in isolation, grappling with his thoughts. Friends and family noticed the shift. Mark's sister, Emily, reached out, sensing something was amiss. Despite Emily's attempts, Mark remained withdrawn, unwilling to share the burden he carried. Seeking answers, he turned to the internet, delving into forums and articles about transgender identities and relationships. His search history reflected a man desperate for understanding, yet the information he found only deepened his confusion. Lisa, aware of the growing distance, confided in her friend, Sarah, expressing her fears about their relationship. She hoped that, with time, Mark would come to terms with her truth, but uncertainty loomed over their once happy home. Their conversations became strained, reduced to polite exchanges devoid of the warmth they once shared. Both struggled with their own fears, yet neither found the courage to bridge the widening gap between them. Unspoken words and unresolved feelings began to erode the foundation of their marriage, setting them on a path fraught with uncertainty. On a chilly evening, neighbors noticed an unusual silence enveloping the neighborhood. Earlier that day, Mark and Lisa had been seen together at a local gas station. Later, as night fell. A neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, heard raised voices coming from the couple's home. Concerned, she debated whether to intervene, but decided to give them privacy, hoping it was a fleeting disagreement. Moments later, a chilling silence replaced the argument. Unease settled over Mrs. Thompson, prompting her to action. She reaches for her phone, hands trembling, and dials 911. 911 operator. 911, what's your emergency? Mrs. Thompson, voice shaky. I heard shouting from my neighbor's house. Now it's eerily quiet. I'm worried something's wrong. 911 operator. We'll dispatch officers immediately. Please stay inside and lock your doors. Officers approached the residence cautiously, aware that domestic disputes can escalate unpredictably. Receiving no response, they made the decision to enter, prioritizing the potential safety of those inside. Inside, the scene was chaotic. Furniture overturned, picture frames shattered, and an unsettling stillness pervaded the air. In the living room, they discovered Lisa, unresponsive, with visible injuries. Nearby, Mark sat on the floor, his expression vacant, hands stained and trembling. Paramedics were called, but it was too late for Lisa. Mark was taken into custody without resistance, his demeanor one of shock and resignation. The community was left in disbelief, struggling to comprehend how a seemingly perfect couple's story had ended in such tragedy. The truth had been buried beneath anger, secrecy, and pain. But in the cold, sterile rooms of the police station, it could no longer be ignored. The weight of his actions pressed down like an ocean tide, relentless and unyielding. He wasn't the man he had been a week ago. Maybe he never was. Detectives sifted through the wreckage, not just of a home, but of two lives that had once been intertwined. A timeline was reconstructed, conversations dissected, digital footprints traced. The puzzle was coming together, but one question remained unanswered. Why? Legal teams clashed like titans in a battle of words and evidence. Was it a reckless act of impulse, or something that had been building long before that fateful night? But justice is never as simple as a sentence. The damage had been done. A life lost, another shattered. The echoes of that night would never fade. A city moved on, as it always does. The news cycle shifted, the headlines changed. But in the stillness of an empty apartment, where laughter once filled the air, only silence remained. A life remembered, a love destroyed, a tragedy never forgotten.